It is, but tomorrow also marks the one-year anniversary of Kenny Hill's coronation as a Heisman frontrunner after a Week 1 win at South Carolina. 1 year later, Kenny Hill's face is probably on the back of a milk carton in your fridge. The lesson learned here: pump those brakes just a little bit on those Week 1 overreactions. And then the next week, Florida welcomes in East Carolina. Really all that matters with them is where are they at by Week 3 when they go to Kentucky. That's really when their season starts. And ditto for Georgia. Where are they at when South Carolina comes to town Week 3? So I wouldn't be surprised if one or more of these quarterback battles goes well into Week 2.
I think I know that Texas A&M needs to start strong in 2015. And by strong, I mean they need to beat Arizona State. Now, personally, I don't think it will happen. But when I look at Texas A&M, they're vastly different in two areas, in my opinion, at the quarterback position starting the season and with their defensive expectations. But if you're Kevin Sumlin, you're in your fourth year, you've got complete control of the program, which is what you wanted. You've got all the recruits that you've chosen, handpicked. And then you've got a lot of your toughest games: Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State. They're at home. And you got 9 out of 12 games in the state of Texas. Things line up for you to have a good season. But I don't think it'll go that route if you start off slowly. Because, again, that schedule, even though you have home games, is still an SEC West schedule. I think starting strong is paramount, especially for young defenders to gain that confidence down there in Texas A&M.
Herman Boone would say, "Show me Bama." I say, "Show me Kevin." Show me Kevin. But one team, maybe more than one team, will be written off way too early. It could happen in that game you just mentioned. Texas A&M, Arizona State.
Right.
For all you know, you're talking about two dark horse national title contenders right there. You have no idea. You may be talking about teams that make a run at their conference championship. But in Week 1, one of those teams is going to lose.
Right.
An out-of-conference game, by the way.
So I think Auburn wins the football game, but I think their defense will be tested because of a lack of size and also Petrino being successful on first down.
I think South Carolina's defense is ready to start fast. Now, this is a limb I'm going out on, especially
it's a
considering the atrocities of Week 1 up there last year. North Carolina, the team they're playing. If you back North Carolina in this game, you have reason to be confident. They return 10 starters on offense. They've got that up-tempo style on offense. This game will be played in 90-degree weather. It's a 6 p.m. kickoff, which I like because it'll already be done by the time we go on the air. It's a major test for that South Carolina secondary, but I think it's a bigger test for that defensive line because here's what you're going to get. They keep talking about the better depth situation they have up there. Well, you're going to find out.
I've seen both teams in person since the end of last season. I think North Carolina is going to be much improved on that side of the ball, but I think South Carolina is more improved on that side of the ball in a greater manner. So I think the Gamecocks will run the football. I think they'll have success doing that. Don't let Steve Spurrier fool you. He will run the ball. He upset Florida in 2005 by throwing only 17 passes with the Gamecocks. So he'll run it when he has to. That'll be how the Gamecocks win the game. I have them beating them by a score of 38-24.
I like that environment. It looks like you're playing laser tag. Looks fun over there. I wish we had that fan you have behind you in our studio, by the way. We got two more big ones on Saturday. First up in Atlanta, the Auburn Tigers get our first look at that defense under Will Muschamp. They go up against Bobby Petrino in Louisville. How does this one play out in your mind?
Gus Malzahn versus Todd Grantham is also kind of an intriguing matchup. Louisville's got some really good players on the defensive front. I think it's going to be a closer game than people anticipate. I think Louisville will give them fits. At the end of the day, though, I have to stick with Auburn. They're my SEC champion pick. I think that they're going to win by a touchdown, 35-28. I do think it'll be a very competitive matchup, though, and I would look for Louisville to make some noise in the ACC this year and sort of build some momentum off of playing a very good game in the Georgia Dome.
I hear people giving Louisville a chance. I don't hear very many people giving Wisconsin a chance. They're only a 10.5-point dog to Alabama out in Arlington. That's the ABC primetime game Saturday night. How do you see that one going?
Well, I think Wisconsin's got a great program. I think that they're going to do what they do, and they're going to be just fine this year. The problem is what they do plays right into the hands of Alabama. Alabama has the best front seven in college football. Don't be mistaken by the secondary. Don't sit there and think because they weren't all that great last year that they're not going to be special this year. I think Wisconsin's going to have trouble moving the ball. I think Alabama will to a certain extent. I think the offense will kind of clink and clunk. I have Alabama winning the game 31-3 by 4 touchdowns against the Badgers and really sort of making a statement with that defense. I don't see Wisconsin, even though I really like Corey Clement, their running back, I don't see Wisconsin having too many yards or putting too many points on the board on Saturday night.
Since we spoke to you, and let's just let that text message rest there, just let it simmer for a second. You don't want to be the guy that answers too quick anyway. If you answer too quick, it makes you look like you have no life, and we all know that's not true about you. But since we last spoke to you, we've had two fairly surprising quarterback announcements, at least to most fans. You've got Grayson Lambert set to get the start for Georgia against Louisiana Monroe Saturday, and now today you have Treon Harris announced by Jim McElwain as the Game 1 starter down in Gainesville. Did these A, take you by surprise, and B, what are your thoughts?
Well, the Harris announcement surprised me a little bit simply because I sort of bought into the narrative that he doesn't fit the system that Jim McElwain wants to run. But, you know, I think Harris is a better quarterback than Will Grier. I think he was better than Jeff Driscoll last year. Georgia, to me, is more an indictment of Bryce Ramsey than maybe Grayson Lambert being that much better. I think Lambert got a raw deal at Virginia. I think he was the most talented quarterback on the roster, was just maybe misused or didn't jive with what they wanted to do on offense. So I think Georgia will be fine. But Bryce Ramsey is kind of an example of, you know, the quarterback that only plays quarterback, the sort of a camp hero that gets a lot of offers early, that doesn't develop quite as quickly as we think. I think we've seen the same thing with Will Grier, who played against garbage competition in high school. You know, those two quarterbacks were very highly rated by yours truly and all of us in the recruiting industry. And so far, it just hasn't worked out.
What Steve Perry was to Journey, and what a band it was with him, he is to 247sports.com. J.C. Shurburtt, you can check out all of his work, does a great job, just released all of his game predictions today. We just kind of rehashed a few of them there. 247sports.com is where you can find all that. J.C., take care, enjoy your week 1. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, Josh.